people we invite. So it's been a pleasure to have you all this evening. And yeah, thank you all again. So cheers to our website. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone.
How are we all? We're finally here. The day has come. Absolutely fantastic. Really, really pleased to have a couple of guys here with us on screen. We got Pete Kemp, we got Richard Majewski, we got Rob Holmes, and Peter and myself, and we got more coming as well, guys. So we're here this evening to launch our website, which we're super, super, super excited about. So hopefully you are as well. Peter, how are you?
I'm okay, thanks. And I hope everyone else as well. And thanks everyone who joining. Thank you guys. Thanks Chad. Thanks Pete and Rob, and also those of you who are joining just during the live as well. So thanks for everyone. And it's really it's a big day for us because we've been working on this for a while now, and most of you, all of you actually, we know for a while. And some of you been also our guests before. In a minute, just Lanks just coming as well. Hi, Lanks. Lenka.
Hey, Lanks.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Thank you for having me. Very excited.
Nice to see you. Are you okay?
Nice. Very good. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, all good. We all good. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So I just tried to explain a bit more about what this tonight is going to be all about, and also just wanted to say thank you to you as well for coming tonight, because we're really excited. I hope you too as well. I can't even stop smile. Thanks, Christina, as well. I'm not too sure if she's going to come into live. Darren as well is here. So yeah, we're still going to have a couple of more guests coming. And all I can say is everyone is great. Hi, Darren.
Hey, Darren.
How we doing?
We're good, buddy. Good to have you too.
So most of you been already our guests previously, and thanks for that one as well. And this tonight is going to be about launching our website and try to give people as many knowledge as possible during 1 or 2 hours. I don't even know how long it's going to be. Have you got any idea how long it's going to be, Istvan?
Well, I got my pillow with me, so we can go as long as we like, basically. So
I got everything with me as well, so I am prepared. I'm ready.
Looks like Pete Kemp is well and truly prepared. He's got his bed right behind him, so he's sorted.
Yeah, in case. He's really prepared for everything.
Perfect. Yeah, so guys, before we start, so what I wanted to tell everyone is, if you've seen our post for the last couple of days, what we said is we are doing giveaways this evening. We are giving massive discounts on the courses we're putting out. A lot of the courses we put into our website are free. We obviously have some advanced courses which we will charge for, and those will come with 75% discount this evening for those of you who registered. So it's not too late to register, guys. That's one thing I wanted to say to you as well. If you go onto our website, which is now live, by the way, so we made it live just before this. So what I'll do is I'll put a little banner up just right now so you get to see. So if you go onto our website, and I'll show it in a second, just so you know exactly what to do. We don't want anyone to have any issues in terms of what to do and what not to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen really briefly, and I'll show you exactly where you need to go so you know exactly what to do. So let me just do that to find where I can share my screen. I've got too many things going on here. Here we are. So share screen. And technology with me. Here we are. Look at that. So guys, this is our website. So again, for those of you who haven't been on there yet, this is what it looks like. So let me just show you. So of course we got a nice little home screen here where you see
it's a great picture of you, Istvan.
Oh, thank you. If yeah, you're not so bad of yourself either, Peter. So just a little bit of an intro on the website, of course, like any homepage. And you can see, we've got our featured courses here. So we've got our rent-to-rent HMO and essay course, the deal sourcing and packaging course, and a property marketing, which we very cunningly have named. We actually named it our 22-point secret selling system. And there's a reason why it's called 22-point secret selling system, and Peter will tell you all about it in a minute. But just scroll you down a little bit further. So, what benefits you get from our courses. You got flexible access. You can access them anywhere. You can do it on your mobile phone. It's open to everyone. I think that's one of the main things, guys. It is, to people, any level of skills in terms of property investing. You get a nice certificate in the end as well, which is also very useful. I think one thing I also like to point out is we've got lots of extra things on there, like tutorial videos, how-to guides and things like that, that will also be very helpful to a lot of you. So we've got a little plug here for ourselves on there. So you can join our Facebook group, which is where you get a lot of free stuff on a weekly basis. So for those of you who are part of it already, there's about 800 of us there already, and it's growing rapidly every week. Because of all the free content that we give out on a weekly basis. A little bit of feedback from people, reviews of us. And you can see that, it's not just us bang our own drums, but other people also think that we're doing something good. And of course, we've got some people who also giving us some feedback right at the bottom. Now, if I go up the top, you can go and click onto the courses page where you can see the courses that we just spoke about. And all you've got to do is just click on Get Started, and then you can start the courses. On the About Us page, again, a bit more about Peter and myself. Why are we doing this? Just so you get to understand our motivation behind actually launching a website like this in the first place. And a few more nice things about us and what you get by actually working with us, why you should choose us. Now, for those of you who haven't signed up yet, and this is what I wanted to show you right now, for those of you who haven't signed up yet, you see this little thing, this little circle with looks like a face on there. If you click on that, that will take you to the page where you can register. Now, of course, I could log in because I already got my login. But if you haven't registered yet, this is where you do it. So enter your details in here, and we will let you know how you can get your discounts a little bit later. So register yourself. That's the most important thing for now. And yeah, we'll go from there. Right, so I've got Muzzy also joined us. So Muzzy, I'm going to add you in here. I can see a picture of you. Hopefully your sound is here with us. Great.
Already got my login.
Yeah.
But if you haven't,
hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Enter your details in here.
Awesome, I can hear a nice echo of myself, Muzzy.
Well, I was waiting in the waiting room for a while, so I had to listen to you somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was just too hung up on actually showing people the website. But great to have you, Muzzy. Thank you for joining us.
No
so,
problem,
so guys, so that's a little walkthrough of what the website is currently looking like. And there is a reason why we have so many people on the screen here, because first of all, many of these guys have already been our guests before. But the second reason for that is actually we've decided to collaborate with people on making this website even better. So this is essentially phase one of what you're seeing right now. So I can't announce names just yet, but quite a few of the people you see on the screen will also add their own materials, their own expertise to the website. So this website will be something much better and much bigger in the coming months once we actually get to that. So I'm super excited about it because I think it just adds more credibility to the whole website. It adds more depth to it in terms of the knowledge. Peter and myself have a certain amount of knowledge, but we never claim to be experts in everything, and we can't be and we shouldn't be, which is why we have other people in the industry who are experts in certain things, which is why we invite them to give their knowledge, give their expertise, and share it on the website. So is there anything I missed, Peter? Anything you want to add?
You was almost perfect.
Almost.
I couldn't ignore everything. At this stage, I wouldn't want to go into deep details about the courses or why we think it's a bit different from everything on the market, because we keep it later. We leave it for later. So don't worry. We're gonna still go into a bit more in details and more show about why we think this course is a bit different from others on the market. I would love to talk about our guests first rather than ourselves. One of the main reason, or maybe a lot of other reason, apart from they all great guys and they all experts on their own field, because they are our guests as well, and also it's a huge honor for us to have you here, guys, and also some of you, or those of you, or most of you who are going to contribute later on this. It's all going to have people who are just starting out, because that's our aim, to give something to people who are just starting out. Whether they want to start in rent-to-rent, packaging this, whether they have issue, let's say with the refurb works, they can have the expert Darren on this field, what they need to look at, who they need to contact, and all this stuff. Or let's say someone want to get into service accommodation and really interested in a corporate model or generally about service accommodation. There's Richard here. We're gonna talk about later. Or if someone wanna get finance, quick, short finance bridge, then we have Rob. Or also, sorry, I forgot to mention Pete. He's a great knowledge of refurb works and project management of the refurb works and all the builders side of the things, because believe me, guys, when you're starting in property, you're gonna need everything. Sooner or later, but you're gonna come across with everything. So you're gonna need to be literally expert in everything, and none of us can be expert on everything. That's why we are here together. Or Lenka, the great Lenka, she's great. How to build on social media, how to build a profile on social media, how to do podcast, and all this kind of stuff. A lot of stuff she's gonna tell us later. And honestly, we all need all these things we need in order to succeed in property or in any business anyway. So and that's why it's good to have everyone in same time in the screen. So yeah. So how shall we have it? Shall we go ahead? Who shall we start with? Istvan.
Pick someone, Peter. I'll let you make that executive decision.
Okay. So let's say we start. Who came first? Anyway,
Pete.
Pete came first. Okay, let's start with Pete. It's easier because we really don't wanna make any exceptions. So hi Pete. Good evening. Thanks for being here. Thanks for accepting your invitation.
Thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you. We have known each other for a couple of, not too long, if my memory is right.
Yeah, it's only been a few weeks. So I was invited onto your clubhouse room, the starting in scale in property regular room that we do together now as a team. There's 6 of us. We do Thursdays at 7 p.m. and Saturdays at 8:30. And I've got to know you guys through there. You know what you do, you've got to know what I do. We've been sharing what we do with communities, getting some really good feedback, and then off the back of that I've been invited on something else. Funny thing is, I got invited to join that room from helping people and from giving advice to people, and that's what I'm all about, just going out there and sharing my knowledge and helping whoever needs help.
2 things I know from you, about you, even though we don't know each other too long. One of the things, it's you're really great in the refurb, let's say the builder point of view and the refurb work point of view, so like project management of the refurb work and all this stuff, which is so important. Regardless, you need to do a small refurb, medium or big refurb. You're gonna need the knowledge. Otherwise, it can cost you serious money if you don't get things right at the beginning. And but this is one of the things you given a great advice to people who joining in a clubhouse sessions. You keep giving great advice to people. Honestly, I wish I had known and I had spoken to any of you like you or Darren about this kind of stuff. Then I would have made my mistakes at the beginning, which I made in terms of how shall I start and proceed with this kind of jobs. So this is one thing I know about you. And the second thing, you also giving great advice in terms of people when they asking questions in terms of what shall they do, how shall they learn, or who shall they learn from about property investing, about sourcing or depackaging, or all this kind of stuff. So I can see them about you, like I can see that you really want to help people when they're asking the questions. So that was one of the main reasons why we invited you as well. So can we ask if you would say a couple of words about yourself, your background? Who is Pete Kemp?
Okay, thanks, guys. So yeah, Pete Kemp, I've got a background as a general builder, and 2 years ago, I was asked to deliver a HMO project. Now, the first question I asked the architect who recommended me was, what's a HMO? Because I didn't know. So I delivered that project, and actually that's what I'm using as my backdrop here today. And I got involved in the local PPN, Progressive Property Network, Sheffield. And I went there as a builder, and I went there looking for clients because I wanted to work with property professionals. And after my first year, I decided, well, no, I want more than that. So now I am just working on my own portfolio, putting my own portfolio together. Now this coming year as well, this sees me roll out our deal packaging business. So now I'm going to start working for clients again. I'm going to source the properties, and I'm going to supply the refurb as well, or at least supply the quotation or a robust tender pack to go with these source deals. The other thing that I'm going to do this year as well is I'm going to be rolling out my new podcast, which is the Investor Builder. So what the point of that is, it's to bridge the knowledge gap between property people and trades, because I've come into this as a builder, so I know how to work with clients. Now I'm an investor, I know how to work with builders. So I've seen it from both sides of the fence. So that's the value I'm looking to bring to the community.
Good, thank you. It's honestly, it's a great knowledge. Sometimes I can't even remember how many times people have been asking you about different kind of aspects of the refurb works and the project management as well. And you mentioned a lot of times about the tender pack to put everything together rightly at the beginning and the first, and making sure the builders they do the job rightly and how they should. Would you have any advice to people, let's say they're starting property and they have a refurb, what would be the very, very quick and short advice to them? Okay,
so what I would say is that most people, when they look to structure a refurb, what they do is they look to plug into someone else's system. So you go to a builder, you ask them to get a detailed quotation together, and then you just protect it with a contract. No context as to what that contract is, or you know what you're actually protecting. My views is what you should always do is start with a robust tender pack. So you want to be putting your specification, your scope of works, tell them your monitoring process that you've got, how you're going to sign works off. Basically put all the information together to put out to tender. And then that information then forms the basis of your contract, because all a contract is an agreement between parties based on some information which is written down. So when your builder then quotes based on that tender pack, all they need to do is refer back to it. You want to keep the point of reference for your own words and then form the contract in that way. So two things which I believe are most important when delivering a project. First of all is information, plenty of information. And second of all is the control. So get the builders to plug into your systems, not the other way around.
Oh, thank you. It's a great advice. I wish I had known all this stuff when I started out. So I hope people make some notes maybe or anything like that, because it's a great advice. And what would you say people who just starting out and they want to learn about property? What would you recommend to them?
Come and join our clubhouse room.
Yeah, good.
Let's face it, because that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. We're here to help people. We're here to build a community of support for the people. So join our clubhouse room, and throw any questions. There's there's plenty of people in there, not just the moderators, but the people in the audience as well, to get the answers. And just leading on from that is network, build your brand, build your knowledge just from being around the people who are in the community.
Okay, thanks. That's great. That's great advice. And yes, guys, join our Clubhouse room, or any of the guys you can see here on screen. Follow them on social media, asking questions, join a Clubhouse, whatever you can find us or them. It's everybody. It's a great guys and great and huge knowledge, so and expertise and experience. So don't be shy to ask your questions.
Absolutely, but yeah, a good little. I like the little plug, to be honest, because it's always nice to have as many people in these rooms on Clubhouse as possible, Pete. So I think we had a really great session last Saturday. I think it was something like 80-something people in the room, which was I was blown away by it, but it was really good. So and the topic was actually very interestingly property education. So it's one of those topics that everyone likes to have their opinion on. So. Which is obviously brilliant. So probably what made it a great room, but it was some really good discussion. So I really enjoyed it myself. So yeah, but thanks very much, Pete. Really appreciate you being here, and of course having your input. So if anyone wants to get in touch with Pete, you'll find him on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the usual sources. He's everywhere. He's about to start his own podcast as well. So I think you'll see even more of Pete going forward as well. So. Which is great. So should we move on to Lenka? I don't know how we're going to cope with her internet, because I think she's struggling. She keeps dropping in and out. But are you okay?
I still can hear you. I still can hear you the whole time. It's just the camera keeps dropping off. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, Lex, thank you for joining us. We've only had you on our show a few weeks ago, so very fresh in mind for most of us. But yeah, we just wanted to invite you on because obviously, we're great friends, a great relationship. And, it's lovely to have as many of you as possible. So would you like to introduce yourself to everyone who's not familiar with who you are? And tell us a little bit about yourself to everyone.
Yeah, sure. I mean, hi, everybody. And Istvan and Peter, thank you so much for having me this evening. It's really lovely to be back.
Thanks.
As you said, it hasn't been too long. I've been on, so it's really nice to be back. So my name is Lenka, known as Lenks, and I'm still calling myself a newbie when it comes to property. So I'm a property investor, currently live in Torbay in beautiful English Riviera. And I also have a podcast. I'm a podcaster. I have loads of different ideas and businesses on what do you call it, on the horizon to plan. So I'm not only in the property, but mainly in the property at the moment, and hoping to build a SA business this summer down in Torbay.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Cool. Fantastic. That's great. Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, we had a really good chat. I think one thing that a couple of weeks ago we discussed really well is Lanks using social media to an absolute max in terms of making sure that her branding is totally on point. So if anyone needs to have any pointers or anyone wants to know how to brand themselves the right way, I think I'd definitely look at her, how she does it, because I think she does it amazingly well. So Lanks, one question I had to you, Lanks, is because we're obviously launching our website, which is very much around property courses and education. So what's your experience in terms of how much has education, how much part it has played in where you are, property education, what you received over the last couple of years?
So property education, well, funny enough, this is how we met as well with Peter, wasn't it, on actually doing the education, property education. So yeah, education is a massive part of where I am, or where I'm heading to, or what I know, every single aspect. So I would definitely say that if you are even if you're interested in property, studying business and successful people, anything, it's really, really, really important and crucial. So yeah. Education was and still playing massive part. I call myself a forever student. And if there is, and definitely when you see someone who is achieving things you want to achieve, then definitely go and have a look what they do and how they do it. So yeah, education is hugely important, and I'm a massive fan. Massive fan.
Great, thank you. Well, we certainly believe it is very important. So, which is why we're doing what we're doing. So, yeah. Well, thanks for that, Lenka.
Absolutely.
One thing we mentioned to you guys as we were advertising this launch event is that we wanted to give some giveaways to people, and I can tell you that we are going to draw the winners of these the prizes as we go through the live. So, Peter, is it okay if I do the first draw?
Not at all.
Yeah. Okay. So, guys, this is we've had the opportunity to do the draw beforehand, so I'm not going to get a hat out and swirl around all these balls, and it's not like the lottery draw for the 1980s. So this has all been done, but I can tell you that it's all been very fairly done. So there's no favoritism here. It's very much randomly done. But
the first winner is going to be Istvan.
Yeah. So if I'm the winner, then I'm in trouble. Yeah, because I've just said it's all transparent and everything.
Sorry, I couldn't miss it. You said it was fair.
No, we have done it as transparently as possible. I actually wasn't involved in picking it at all, and neither was Peter. So it's completely transparent. But I thought, what? Why don't we announce the winner of? And what is it that they're actually going to win? I think it's quite important to announce because. We're launching a website which has free courses, but we always said right from the start there will be courses there as well that we charge for, because obviously there's a lot of work that's gone into from our side. We want to make sure that we get people started the right way, which is why we're offering a lot of free courses. Now, what we've offered is for people who register before this live, we will draw out 3 people who will get free lifetime courses, access to our courses on the website. So all of our courses free to them for the lifetime. So we think it's a pretty amazing offer. And it's certainly been quite a few people who thought so as well, because they signed up right at the start. So which gave us an opportunity to draw a few names out. So without further ado, I'm going to put something on the screen. So if the technology is with me, we should be able to see someone on the screen. Yay! It worked. Well done, Mandy Cook.
Well done, Mandy. Congrats.
Thank you very much for. Absolutely, well done, Mandy. I'm going to take this off now, and we are back on. Yay! Technology has worked. Fantastic. Happy days.
Well done.
So Mandy is our first winner this evening. So thank you, Mandy, again for putting your faith into registering. We will give you all the details after this. We'll get in touch and get that sorted. So, yeah. See, congratulations, Mandy. You're already getting some of the messages, which is great. Guys, can I just say one thing? If you are commenting and your name is not being displayed, I just ask you one small favor. Right above the live stream, there is a link which says to allow StreamYard to display your name. If you could click on that, that would be absolutely brilliant. And I could put your name on the screen, which is so much more personable. So if you could do that, that'd be great. I think this must be you, Mandy. So if you could do the same, that would also be great. And I could put your name on there. Yeah, it's a few well done to you. Absolutely well done. Right. So should we move on to Rob as our next guest? Because he's the next in line on the screen. Rob.
Hey guys, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Great to have you, Rob. Sorry?
What would you like to know?
I'd like to pass to Peter to ask a couple of questions. Peter, would you like to take it from here?
No, you can carry on. No,
hang on. Hang on. I'm just going to remove Peter from the live, and I'll talk to you guys in a second.
Yes. So hi, Rob. Good evening. Welcome here. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for accepting the invitation. I'm really glad to have you here. I know you for a while, and from I know a couple of great stories about you, and also about your deals, which I always loved to hear. We had a discussion a couple of times about how can you get a good finance or good bridge when you haven't got too much money in your pocket, and how can you play with this deposit and loan to value, and with when it comes to bridge and short-term finance. So it's I know a lot of people say it's a expensive and expensive bridge is expensive, which it is expensive. However, if you have a good connection like Rob, who has experience and who knows how to bridge the missing money, and how to present yourself, and how to present your deal, and a couple of other things as well. Obviously, he's gonna tell us about very, very soon. Then you can still make a really, really good money, especially if you can earn, let's say, 20, 30, 50, whatever, how much thousands of pounds on one deal, which you don't even need to put, maybe in some cases, deposit, or just very, very, very low amount of deposit. And that's one of the expertise from Rob. So if I can ask something, first, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and who is Rob Holmes.
Okay, cool. So I'm actually a property investor turned broker. I think, kind of in this circle, it's usually the other way around. Your power team, your broker, your accountant, your solicitor, they have those skill sets, and they see a load of investors making money doing property, and then they decide to move into property. But for me, it was actually the other way around. So I was fortunate enough to do property as a hobby during my first career. And I did it for a few years, did okay, but wasn't really making much money and wasn't really buying that much property, and wondered why I still had to work. So I thought, well, I must be doing something wrong. So I started looking on Google, Facebook, things like that. And before you know it, I had about 20 million people flashing up on my Facebook feed with courses for property, because Siri was listening to me, and God knows who else. And so I went on a couple of courses, and I spent quite a few thousand on courses for myself and with a friend. Learned more than I could ever imagine possible. I learned, I think, more in the first 2-hour free session I went to than I had in the previous 6 or 7 years doing property as an amateur investor. And it just opened my mind. So I got to the stage where I was able to retire at 30, which was amazing. I had about a year off, didn't really do much. I kind of sat around playing PlayStation in my underwear, and I decided that I had to kind of do something. So I actually then moved into finance, because it made sense. Pretty much all of my deals I buy using bridging finance. I'm buying the properties you can't get mortgages on, or I'm buying the properties you need to act quickly, or I'm buying properties where I can't raise the money for the deposit for a regular buy-to-let, but I've got numerous properties I could put a bridge across, so I could get 100% of the purchase and some refurb money to then put it on a buy-to-let out the other end. And that's what I've been doing. So I'll do, all types of finance, but I specialize mainly in bridging, buy-to-let, and HMO type stuff. And then that's where I'm at.
That's great. That's great. Great to hear. And obviously, I'm gonna ask you, which I already know and heard about your story. If you could tell us and the people, the audience, about one of the most creative deals you ever made using bridge, just to show them and just to explain them what you can do in property.
Yeah. Okay. So most bridging lenders at the moment are capped around 60 to 70% loan to value. Most. And there's some that will go to 75%. But if a broker says to you, well, I can get you a 75% bridge, it doesn't mean a 25% deposit, because they'll be talking about the gross bridge, which after they take off fees and interest and stuff, you'll end up with a net bridge, which is always less. So if they say, a 75% bridge, they mean more like, realistically, 65 to 68%. So you have to always come up with more than you think. And a lot of the time that can catch people out. Some of the creative stuff you can do with bridging is, if you have a second property, let's say, for instance, you've got a really good deal, but all your funds are tied up, or your joint venture partner's funds are tied up in another deal, you don't have the cash to do it. What you can do is you can put a bridge across 2 properties at once. So I've got one client who's got a £5 million portfolio really, really nice guy, found an absolutely amazing deal in London. The properties in the road were selling for between 550 and 575. Okay. And he could pick this property up for 200,000. It was just an unbelievable deal. And it needed £80,000 to do it up. The problem is, although he had a £5 million portfolio, he had no cash available because he was doing other deals. And he really didn't want to lose this one because it was easily £250,000 to be made in 6 months. So what we did, we managed to put a bridge on the property that he was buying, and then we put a bridge on another property as well. And because they then lent against the loan to value across both values combined, we were able to actually get him 100% of the purchase price of the one he wanted to buy and the 80 grand to do it up. So that has actually just been revalued in about the past week or so, and it got revalued at 570,000. So he's made a clear 250,000 in about 3 months because his builders were on absolute fire. So that's one thing that you can do with that bridging. Another thing with bridging is a lot of lenders will lend against the purchase price. So firstly, a lot of them are stuck between 60 and 70%. There are some high, as I said, but they'll also lend against the purchase price. So if you're buying something for 100,000 and that's what it's worth, they'll lend you, say, 75k. But if you then say to them, look, I'm buying this property, it's worth 100,000, but I'm only buying it for 75k, I'm getting a 25% discount. A lot of them, most of them will turn around and say, well, okay, we're now going to lend you 75% of 75. They'll always grade it down so you've got that proportionate deposit to put in. There are some lenders that will do it on market value, but again, they're down at 60 and 65%. There's a lender out there that will go to 85% on bridging, okay, if you're going to be adding value, if you're doing the buy, refurb, refinance. And then on top of that, not only will they go to 85%, they'll go to 85% of market value. So I've got another client that put a deal up. She is getting the property for 85,000, but it's worth 120,000 today before doing any work. So she's actually getting, without needing another property, she's getting 100% no deposit. And that doesn't even take it all the way to the 85. It comes in at about 78% loan to value. So the bridging lender will fully fund that. She'll refurb it. At the end of the refurb, it will be worth 150, and she'll refinance and stick it onto a buy to let and pull all of her money out and then some. But it means she doesn't have to come up with a deposit. So from going on bridging, which is kind of the industry standard and the majority of having to put 30% down, maybe more, up to 40% as a deposit, and then refurb, because even if a broker says that you can have 100% of the refurb costs, those will be funded in arrears. So you'll have to at least come up with the first chunk. That's a lot of money for people to come up with. But if you can find a really good deal, I've just done another one. I've sent terms out today, I think. £150,000 is what it's worth. It's direct to vendor, and he's going to get it for 120,000. And they're gonna give him. He needs to come up with the equivalent of 8% deposit against the actual value on a bridge. So it's some really, really good stuff that you can do out there, which will really help people who don't have access to as much cash as maybe they thought they needed.
That's some pretty sexy numbers there, Rob, I have to say.
Yeah, that's exactly, yeah.
Yeah, no,
I would get my tassels out, but I'm on a night off.
That's exactly it's all about, because obviously people can say whatever they like. It's expensive or any other things, but obviously it's all comes down when you're in a position. Even if you have a huge portfolio, but you haven't got the cash, or when you have access to like this kind of lenders, let's say, because they're using your service, then you can actually bridge towards to the market value, not the purchase price. That's a fantastic, because actually you don't need to come up with cash at all, or just very limited cash. So it's gonna make the life so much easier. But if you don't know this stuff, because you don't know, and you don't know people like Rob, let's say, then you just don't know, and you're never gonna make this money. That's why it's so important for people to educate themselves, and also networking as well.
Yeah, and a really important point for people to think about bridging is that it's not expensive, it's relative. So it's more expensive than a buy-to-let or a resi mortgage. It's probably a little bit less expensive than full-on development finance, but it's relative to the deal. So bridging you might look at bridging as expensive, but for the guy that's just made £250,000 and it's cost him, say, 20 to 25 to borrow that money, that's worth it all day long. You know, if it was me, I'd pay 100 grand to borrow the money and make 250 grand in 3 months. So do you see what I mean? If you're making money in the deal, then you roll those finance costs into the deal and make sure it still stacks and make sure it still works. And as long as that's the case, then you've got yourself a good deal.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more myself. I couldn't agree more. It's all about the deals, and it's all about how you structure your deals. And it's a lot of times, as we already mentioned, a lot of times you cannot come up with enough funds, or you don't need to come up with the funds at all, because you can use this bridge, and actually. If you do it rightly, as you mentioned, you don't even need to come up with the funds. So you can use that funds to another deal. So you can do actually same time, even 2 deals. So then the bridge is not expensive at all. So it all depends how to use your bridge. Because if you want a bridge for something which you shouldn't, then of course you're just paying for nothing. So that's then a very expensive play. That's why it's so important to know your stuff, to know your deals, to know the people, and to know how to use this kind of stuff. That's exactly. And I'm glad you also mentioned the education and yourself as well. How did you find the first, when you started out in property and you wanted to get your first deal? How did you find the education, the importance of the educating yourself?
It's a really good question. So, for instance, the difference between the first deal I did after actually attending property courses and before is the deals that I was doing before is I was saving up a 10, 15, 20% deposit. I was buying a flat or a house, and I was, doing it on a residential mortgage. I was moving into it. I was living there for a few years. I was doing it up and all of that sort of stuff. And then I was moving on by saving another deposit to buy another residential property, but I'd keep the one I'd already got and use it as a buy-to-let. So it was a very long process. And then with other buy-to-let mortgages, I'd put my 20, 25% down, might do a little bit of a light refurb, sit on it for a year, do a little bit of a further advance to try and get some funds out. But it was a very slow process. The first deal I did after I then knew what to do is I bought a property that was worth 120,000 for 90,000. So I got a 96,000 gross bridge, which netted down to 81 at the time. So I only had to come up with a 10% deposit to buy it. I put 10K in to the property, and within 3 months I'd refinanced it at the new value of 140. So I got a mortgage of 105. So I went from taking a couple of years to do a deal to doing a deal in 3 months and getting, I think, pretty much all of my money out. I might have left a couple of £1,000s in. And, I've got a property that's, I've got 35 grand in equity on paper. It's making me a profit every month forever. And I've done it in 3 months instead of 2 or 3 years. So that was the difference for me. It was huge for me, to be honest. It allowed me to retire at 30. That was the difference.
Not a bad place to be, Rob, is it?
Yeah. So you could come to me for the finance, or I've seen Laura Muse is on, and you could just go to her and learn how to raise loads of money online through Facebook from loads of investors.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of Laura Muse and also Paul, thank you guys for joining. I just wanted to say a quick welcome for both of you, really. And I just want to say I'm so happy because I've never seen our screen this busy before, and it's just absolutely pleasing to see so many very well-known faces in the property industry on a screen with us. So thank you all for joining us once again. And Rob, thank you for sharing all your knowledge. Amazing stuff. I've got some questions here for you, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to save them for after we've gone through everyone and have a bit of an intro, if that's okay. And if people got questions to any of these guys on the screen, by the way, feel free to stick them in the comments. I will try and save them, and then we can do a bit of a Q&A at the end, if that's okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take it as a yes because no one can actually say yes. But
yes.
Richard,
Thank you.
Richard, you've been waiting very patiently there. I can see you. You probably had a glass of wine next to you somewhere, ready to go. No, not patient.
Sadly not. No. The wine I think was mentioned there because I do a thing called Sabbath Wine Time, which is like a networking member. No, sadly not this time. But yeah, Rob, there was talk about retirement. I'm age 62 and I've still not retired. So you can't imagine how much I hate you right now, Rob. But yeah, I'm judging by the lighting in this room as well. I'm looking almost dead, so maybe I won't even make it. But yeah, should I? So first of all, should I crack on though, Istvan? Should I kind of introduce myself?
Would you like to introduce yourself, Richard? Just
yeah. I mean, first of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for letting me be a part of this, and it is an honour. I've been very interested in what the guests so far have said. I'm not a property person at all, as you know, and so from somebody who knows nothing about property, and I'll be honest with you, traditionally has never really been that interested, I've actually become interested just listening to your guests here. So I mean, it's really, it's been very interesting, very enlightening for me, even in this short space of time. I'm interested to hear more, to not hear more here necessarily, but I want to find out more about Clubhouse. Yeah, you mentioned about courses, and I think Lenx was saying about the importance of education. I think we were all agreeing on that, and I couldn't agree more. Get educated, make sure that you're speaking to the right people for that education, and then that is easily the better thing than Google. You can't use Google as a university. You'll end up like the old A to Z of London, with only a few pages and not the full roadmap, and you won't know where you're going. But too many people think that they can get all the answers with just those few pages from the A to Z, and it's the worst thing you can possibly do. And so any viewers, I'd definitely recommend to go to Istvan and Peter with those courses, because you'll get the full picture then, and you'll be able to put it all together rather than just go careering into a brick wall. But anyway, that's my so Richard Majewski, I know nothing about property. I've come at it from the marketing of property. I've been in corporate service departments for 25 years, and my background and what I do is help people to market their properties within the context of the market and the opportunities that might exist. And I split the markets into leisure, contractor, and corporate. And generally speaking, yeah, that's what I do. Background shouldn't really bore you with that. I don't think somebody of my age you'd need all day and all night to listen to all of that. But yeah, I don't. It's booking agency background is my main is the main thing. So I don't want to go off at a tangent that you don't want me to, Istvan and Peter, but just to say that that background of booking agency is really different from OTAs. It's the specialist and established and big booking agencies for serviced accommodation and service departments. And I know there's a bit of a kind of, book direct thing, which is great. Everybody wants to direct bookings and not paying commission, but sometimes it's a cheaper option is to go with the people who've got all the business. And they do, because they've got those relationships with corporates in particular. It's different. Corporates are different from contractor and are different from leisure, obviously. But yeah, I won't go on, and I won't go on at a tangent. I'll leave you to direct me, if I may, please.
No, Richard. I wouldn't say you don't know anything about property. Why I understand why you say.
Oh,
yeah. You're not particularly investing in property, but just to say to tell everyone, Richard is a great knowledge, as he already mentioned, about service accommodation and get especially the corporate side of the things, and also how to deal with booking agents. Richard also trained my team as well. and he really gave a lot of knowledge as well. That was part of the reason why we achieved what we achieved, because we always know where to go for advice and who to ask for advice from. Obviously, we had a plan, and we know we want more corporates. And I knew Richard for a while from social media. We met, and he really trained my team, and the great knowledge and experience how to deal with those people, where to find them, how to talk to them, and how to get them on board actually and make money. Because yeah, I fully agree, direct booking is great, and we do a lot of direct bookings, thankfully. But however, there are a certain aspect of the market, especially you always say the biggest. I let you to tell who are the ones. Why would we need to go to the booking agents? Who are the ones, those corporates, the booking agents work with, which those corporates we can't go to alone ourselves. So why is so important the good relationship with them, and why should we go there and paying commission for them instead of just going ourselves to them?
Yeah, you. Bottom line is, you'll never get into some of these corporates. I'll answer the question. May I just make reference to Saba? Is that okay? Quickly, I do this a networking event. Is that all right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, thank you. I do a networking event I've done it for the past 10 years, in fact, in London. Used to attract then 150 people per agents and operators per month. Last March, that was 10 years. Last March, we moved online for obvious reasons, and we do it weekly now, Thursdays at 5 o'clock on Zoom. We moved from 30 to 70 people last week, and I'm anticipating a larger number this week. There were over 100 registered last week, and we're going to hit that again this week. The reason I referenced that is because a gentleman will be on tomorrow. It's the second time he's attended. Jan Jacobsen, his name is. He was a corporate buyer with a very large corporation, a household name, and if I were to quote him, so the big corporates, they will say, don't even bother knocking at my door. I will never speak to you. Don't come with your lower rates. I'm not interested. I, as a corporate, go through my TMC, travel management company, who will go through the reload agent and will go through a specialist booking agency. There are so many doors to knock down to get into those big corporates. You just don't want to even try. There's no point. They've got contracts with their TMCs, with the relocation companies, and all of that. So it's really as simple as that, to be honest, as to why you don't need to bother knocking at the doors of GlaxoSmithKline. They'll probably just set the dogs on you. It's you just want to go an established route, and the established route is the service department booking agents who have relationships with the travel management companies, the relocation agents, and their own corporate clients. But yeah, that's the route. The small and the medium-sized companies, of course, you might have an engineering company around the corner. And yeah, of course, then they may be interested. The problem there is that you're probably going to be restricted to local companies rather than nationwide, unless you've got Salesforce, and you probably don't have, because it's only I'm guessing it's only the larger brands that can afford a Salesforce. Therefore, you're committed to the local clients, which kind of puts you in a certain degree of danger, because they've got the negotiating power. They know that you need them because they're local, you're local, whereas a healthier aspect is nationwide. But that's corporate as opposed to contractor. And I come across a lot of people that don't know the difference. And if I may, I hate using this, but it's the simplest way to do it. The corporates are the people that turn up in a suit and a laptop, and they want one room and won't dream of sharing, and they can't because of the contract. And you have the contractors who, of course, they want the lowest rate possible, There'll be 4 of them in a team, and they'll go into a 4-bedroom house and be very happy, and their contracts won't be a problem. So contractors are the big deal right now, because corporates aren't traveling. Some of them aren't even allowed to for legal reasons, because that's kind of an issue. That our corporate's going to get back onto planes. Who's the liability? Where's the liability? We had a discussion on Sabah, actually, where and Jan was there at the time as well, and it was a case of where's the responsibility if someone gets COVID or what have you, which is obviously a big issue. And a lot of the people were saying, and this is even the larger corporate brands were saying, well, not really our problem, is it? And then Jan, with a very valuable kind of corporate client insight, would say, actually, buddies, yes, it is your problem. Because you're the service provider, and you can't just wash your hands of that kind of responsibility. So it's an interesting one, and I'm sure that we've talked about corporates, talked about contractors. I'm sure we're all hoping for the staycation market to come back in the summer, and if it does, well, an interesting aspect, actually, it's something that's happening in the corporate market in the States right now, is that they're seeing business coming back in from corporates in the pipeline, and they're going, hang on, we've just closed half of our accommodation. We haven't even got enough accommodation for you lot anymore. So the problem in the summer is going to be, is there even enough accommodation? Yeah, supply, and the prices could rocket as a result. So bit like football matches, isn't it? Speaking to my daughter and going, it'd be great to get back to football. And she goes, yeah, but can you imagine how many people want those tickets? So, yeah, so we're going to have to settle for the pub, watching it in the pub. But, yeah, supply and demand.
That's exactly the tricky thing with all this. Once you put the pause in an economy, it's very difficult to hit the start button and be exactly where you were when you pressed the button in the first place. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But look, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge, Richard. I think it's one thing I can certainly say that we've had a nice long session with you a couple of months ago, and I was, for me, it was very enlightening listening to you with all your hospitality and hotel and serviced accommodation background and knowledge. I think so. Anyone who wants to immerse themselves into more around that sort of area of property investment and serviced accommodation specifically, and certainly I would advise you to find Richard on Facebook, find his group, and become a member and just join the discussion, because there's lots to learn there for sure. So Richard, thank you very much. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you. I would buy more, but it shows my board. I should do a smiley on my head.
Absolutely, and also you can find Richard on Facebook. Not Facebook. It's Sabah Wine Time. It's a Zoom call, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's a Zoom call. Tomorrow we're going to introduce quite an interesting, because of this live networking we've been used to, and we've been used to having people move around rooms and everything. We're actually, because we've had a forum so far, but we're going to introduce kind of almost the next best thing to live networking, where people can move around different rooms and speak to different people. So it's good. So yeah, as you say, Peter, thank you. Just look me up on LinkedIn, and that'd be great to link. Thank you.
Absolutely, guys. If you want to learn more about service accommodation, corporate bookings, direct bookings, Richard the one, you need to go to. You can find him on all over the social media, and you can also go to every Thursday 5 p.m. You can also attend to Sabah Wine Time. Obviously, any question after the session, we're gonna happy to answer and give Richard details. I'm sure he's gonna be happy to help anyone who is watching and has questions.
Yeah, exactly. Right, guys. So Darren, you'll be next in line. But before that, I've got another prize to give away. As we promised, we've got 3 prizes to give away, guys. I've already done one, and technology helped me there. So I'm going to do the next one. So hopefully the next person is watching.
Maybe me.
Definitely not you, Peter. Don't get your hopes up. Sorry.
I want to get something.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll get you something. Maybe a glass of water or something. I don't know.
Thank you.
Right, guys. So I've got my next winner here. I'm going to press the button, and here we are. Drum roll, please. Linda.
Yeah, Linda.
Linda, congratulations.
Welcome on board.
Congratulations, Linda. You have got access to all of our courses on the website, so you can learn away all you like. Right.
And as you can see, Linda, sorry to interrupt you. As you can see, Linda, we're gonna still show a couple of things about our courses and why we feel different. But one of the main thing I wanna emphasize here, it's all of these guys you can see in the screen. I'm not saying all of them gonna do it, because believe me, writing a course, even if you are expert on a field, is not easy. But I really hope we have really positive feedback so far. Most of them, if not all of them, going to contribute and put the expertise on our website, which means, Linda and Mandy, you all going to have access for all this stuff, which we're going to put in the next couple of months as well. And believe me, it's a huge knowledge and experiences in there. So congrats and welcome on board.
Congratulations, Linda. Darren, how are you, buddy?
Hello, buddy. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, right? Very good, very good. Great to have you, as always, mate. As always.
Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Hopefully, you're still awake. I know you're very busy. You know, I've met you a couple of days ago. You got lots going on, projects coming out of your ears. Very busy man, but really pleased to have you because we're good friends. We know each other for a couple of years now, and I've always admired your knowledge in the field. So. Just really great to have you. So would you like to just introduce yourself to people, let them know what you're up to, who you are, and how you can help them?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, as I say, thanks for inviting me on. So hello, everyone. My name's Darren Burrows. For those of you that don't know me, my background is probably getting on for 30 years of running startups and SME businesses, various different sectors over the years. The last 15 years has been within the construction and property and facilities management sectors. So I've run firms that have been subcontracted to either big house builders or, as I say, facilities management companies. Some of the companies have been in the kind of eco-sustainable energy sector and also sort of general kind of energy saving, LED lighting, that kind of stuff. I've had a lot of exposure, obviously, to the construction building side of things for the last 15 years. And my background, as I say, I've been running these firms, so it's always been kind of business operations, sales, but right the way through to kind of project delivery and kind of overseeing projects. I'm very kind of wary not to use project management as my title because my thoughts on it are that a true project manager will be on site kind of full time all day every day, which is kind of not necessarily what I'm about, but it's more about the overseeing and just making sure that everything's done properly. All the kind of compliance, the health and safety, contracts, a bit of a crossover really to what Pete does, I guess, in from the contract side of things, and just making sure that people are doing things properly. I started getting trained in property on the models probably about 3 years ago, which is obviously where you and I kind of met up, Istvan and Paul Selman and Laura. Obviously, I know those guys from the training that we've done, and I kind of noticed that there was a lot of people that are getting into property as a business, getting trained, but a lot of the training only takes you so far, I believe, and it's great at teaching you the models and how you stack a deal and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of it misses out what I class as being the real nitty gritty stuff, the kind of practical hands-on. How do you really set the company up? Right the way through to the kind of estimating a project, managing the refurb, or overseeing the refurb, making sure everything's priced properly, making sure you've got, as a lot of trainers say, your ducks in a row. A lot of people say don't worry about that, but I believe, and a lot of people I think do believe, that you do need to have that stuff sorted. So I think it's just a case of trying to get that balance, really. So I've got a number of different sides to my business. I'm an investor myself, but I also coach and mentor people that are just kind of starting out, sometimes that have done a bit of training but just need a bit of help getting through all the overwhelm and the procrastination and getting their systems in place and just getting shit done, really. And then I've got another part of the business where I work with people who who want their projects delivered. So I kind of act as principal designer, for want of a better label. When you're doing a project, really it's set out as part of CDM regs. You've got kind of three parts to it. You've got the investor client, you've got the principal contractor, and then sitting in the middle, you've got a principal designer. And that designer just pulls all the elements together and makes sure that, all the specification documents are being done properly, that as Pete mentioned earlier, all the tender documents are being put together, the tender packs are put together. So everyone's really clear on what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, how it needs to be done. And then really just overseeing it and making sure they're, as I say, adhering to all the health and safety stuff and bits like that. So yeah, that's a snapshot of what I do, I guess.
Well, I think it's a pretty nice overview of what you do. I think it's fair to say that, you could say that if you go to a lot of the courses, this will probably be classed as probably not the sexiest side of property investing, what you're discussing. But I think most people who've been through at least one refurb in their lives, they probably agree that this is probably equally important as getting a deal, if not more important, because there's no point getting a deal if you can't deliver it properly, because the whole thing is worth nothing, right? So, which is why, we always, like to link in with people like yourself, because we understand with Peter that's, as important part of any property investing as it is to get a deal and get the contracts right from the start. So, so if anyone's got any questions to Darren, feel free to stick it in the comments. He'll be here for a little bit longer, and he'll be more than happy to answer, I'm sure, although I haven't asked him yet, so I'm just making an assumption here. But I'm sure he's happy. But yeah, thanks, Darren. Really appreciate you being here, and really appreciate you giving us the heads up on exactly what you're about. Peter, do you have any questions for Darren? Anything that you want to ask him? Anything that anyone else wants to ask Darren while he's here?
Absolutely. What I really found useful since I spoke a couple of times with Pete Kemp, and also you used to talk with Darren, and you're always telling me the couple of things. But what I found very, very useful, I honestly didn't know. One of the main things you both mentioning, if you have a project to deliver, and before I would have gone to the builder myself if I don't know you guys, and I just tell, listen, this is what I want, so please help me to do it, because this is how we go to the builders, and please guide me. But then I just found out it's better if we structure and we control what they need to do and how they need to do with a very, very detailed plan. So for me, this was one of the biggest thing I just found out, and I'm sure it's not just me who's struggling to fix or fix anything. Literally, I just bought something, a very, very small thing to help to make a bigger place on my desk, and I was really struggling. After 2 hours, like eventually I gave up, but I still is in my plan to finish it up. So my point is, not all of us has the skills and the skill set to be good on this part of the business, because obviously property is so huge, and you need a so huge knowledge and so many aspects of the property. As Istvan mentioned, it's not the sexiest part, but it's so crucial, because when you want to source a property for yourself or for the investor, for your investor, and try to establish the numbers, and you're going to need to deliver the project as well, and obviously you're going to need to know this stuff. Otherwise, you're going to end up not to have a good deal, and you're not to make money, but losing money. So you can end up on the other side. I don't know if you agree with me, guys, Pete and Darren. So it's so crucial. It's so crucial to you, the one, go to the builder and give them the instructions. So thanks for this. I'm sure everybody else is finding it very, very useful.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like anything, and it's all about the detail, and it's very easy to kind of stack a deal and have your numbers on a spreadsheet, but unless if you don't know all the things that go into that, you might have, for argument's sake, you might have a cost for a kitchen, but if you don't know what it takes to design and fit a kitchen properly, there's stuff that's going to get missed out at that cost. You might, some people might put, I can get a kitchen for $2,000 from Magnets. You put a $2,000 cost in there. Well, who's going to fit it? Who's going to plumb it in? Who's going to wire the electrics up? Who's going to, you've got all that stuff that doesn't get talked about in a lot of training. So yeah, it is just all about the detail, and it's just about I'm very passionate about making sure that people understand their kind of responsibilities really as an investor. I think I've mentioned to you guys before, it's things like, people only think that health and safety and that kind of stuff is kind of relevant if you've got a huge site. But really, if it's an investment property, any refurb job is classed as a commercial construction site. So even if you've got rent to rent and you're doing a $5,000 refurb, technically by if you go according to the health and safety CDM regs, that should be classed as a proper commercial site, and you should have kind of all the health and safety stuff in place. And it's not particularly onerous process to go through, but it's just a case of protecting yourself and making sure that you're just doing that step by step kind of checkbox exercise, really, just to cover yourself and make sure that everybody's on the same page. And also going back to what you were saying there about kind of having your systems with your builder, I think again there's no one size fits all. And I think once you've done it a couple of times and you've got relationships with builders and you know how each other works, then it's probably less difficult to get that kind of process in place because you've already been through it a couple of times. But if you're just starting out and if you're a little bit inexperienced or you just lack the knowledge, then to protect yourself again, you've just got to make sure that you've got all that stuff documented and set out properly so that you've got something very clear you can give that builder. And Pete will, I hope will probably back me up on this from what you said earlier on, so that both sides know exactly what is expected, how it's going to happen. And then at the end of the job, there's no surprises. You can't go and say, oh, well, I didn't want those sockets there, or I didn't want that light switch there, or I didn't want, because it's already laid out in the specification document and on marked up drawings. It's just trying to help people to understand that process really and what they need to do. And as I say, it's not that difficult. You just got to, as I say, you just got to follow the process. It's like anything, isn't it? Anything in business, it's down to systems and processes. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely, Darren. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Again, like I say, guys, huge amount of knowledge there. So if anyone's got any questions on this part of the property investing, which, like we said, not the sexiest, but equally important as all the others. So I'd like to emphasize that again, because health and safety is key. Because if something happens, I've heard horror stories when things go wrong on a site, and unfortunately, they do happen. So do get yourselves covered, guys. It's equally important as anything else in the business. So thanks very much, Darren. Laura Muse, you're next in line.
Hi.
You've been waiting very patiently, so thank you very much for waiting. And also thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you coming as well. So moving on from a not so sexy side to a more sexy side, which is the whole social media and branding and all that, what you do. So Laura, for those of you those people who don't actually know you, which I'm sure are not too many, to be fair, could you please tell a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and why should people listen to you?
Well, I don't know about that last one. So my name is Laura Muse. I am a property investor, developer based in Sheffield, sunny Sheffield, with my husband James. We've got quite a sizable portfolio of mainly buy-to-lets. And as of tomorrow, it will go to 34 units, and I am so excited. Getting some keys tomorrow for a big commercial property that we've been working on for a hell of a long time now, which is super exciting. Fantastic. Funded by investor finance through social media, the deposit for the commercial finance. So
you're not using Rob, is what you're saying?
No, I don't. No. Sorry, Rob. We basically have utilised social media. I love everything to do with social media. So if anyone wants some help, how to get started, we basically work with investors that found us through social media. They lend to us on a return. We give them a return, obviously, on their cash, and we can build our portfolio. So that's kind of me in a nutshell, really.
Very good. And for those of you who actually want to know a bit more about what Laura does and how she does it in terms of social media, she's got her own Facebook group as well, believe it or not. And there's a lot you can learn from it. So many of us on the screen today are part of that group. And I know very well that I've learned lots from that group. So, and Laura herself. So I'm sure Paul and Darren and a couple of other guys can also say the same thing, because I know you're part of it as well. So yeah, definitely, guys. Laura is great at sharing stuff. She's great at cracking the whip at people as well, because she does a few sort of challenges. So if you want to push yourself, then it's also good to be part of the group. You know, sometimes that's all we need. Get out of that comfort zone, and get
out of your own way. But yeah, the group is on Facebook. It's called Social Media Success for Property Investors. You're all very welcome to join, as long as you participate and give value. And don't try and sell your shit. I'll let you off though.
It's a good thing. Good thing it's past 7 o'clock, so no kids are listening, right, Laura?
Oh, sorry, I forgot about that. I've been in this office all day with the blinds down, so I have no idea really what time it is.
That's all right. I'm only joking. My door's shut, so that's okay. The kids are not listening, so that's fine. But yeah, absolutely. So yeah, definitely recommend that group for you guys to join. Lots of helpful stuff. Like I said, the challenges that Laura does on a regular basis have certainly got a lot of people in front of investors, got a lot of people in front of other property investors. So it's definitely worth doing. So if you're not in there, get in there. Laura.
Yeah.
So obviously we are launching our website, which has got courses in there. So property education is it's kind of a topic of this evening. So could you tell us a little bit about your experience and what is your view on property education?
Yeah, 100%. So my background is nothing to do with property at all. So for anyone who is listening and thinking, well, I'd like to get started in property, but actually don't know the first thing, I 100% was that person. And my background was equestrian, so horses. So as far as property than you could get. So I started my training in 2018 with a very well-known company. And like Darren says, I can really resonate with what Darren said. Like, you feel like you get 75% of the information, but the actual, as I call it, obviously I'm Northern, the gubbins, the really important stuff is missed. And it's not, you don't feel like you can, it's great. And I've met some amazing people, and I'm 100% so pleased that I did it. It got me so far in my property journey. But the real practical things that you learn on a project, on site, when you first have that conversation with your first investor, them bits are missing. So obviously what you guys are doing is amazing, and them bits certainly won't be missing, which I think people should definitely get involved in that. And yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of courses, I've spent a lot of money. On reflection, would I have probably spent the amount of money I have? Probably not. But you've got to be in it, and I've made some incredible relationships from that. I've got some great advice and some knowledge. I knew nothing. Like, I'd never even been through the mortgage process before 2018. It was something my husband kind of did. I just sat in the background going, yeah, that's great, love, where do you want me to sign? I kind of still do that a little bit now, but it does walk you through the very basics. But like Darren said, there's nothing more real than doing the project and actually going out and doing it. And one of my pet hates, I mean, I'm going on a bit of a tangent now, but one of my pet hates is, people feel that they pay this entry fee for this course and the work will be done. That's just the beginning. You pay your entry fee to do you learn as much as you can, but only you can action it. And if you haven't got it in you to action it, then it's not something I think people should maybe take lightly. But them environments do have people who can support you on your journey. Like Darren said, I've met Darren, Paul, yourself, Istvan, Pete at a local networking event through that particular company. So 100%, I'm so thankful for it. But I think it's got its place. I think there's lots of bits missing, and I think you guys are going to do an awesome job.
Well, I think we should just leave it there. Thanks, Laura. Just summed it up perfectly. I think you ended it on the right note as well. So sorry, Paul, we can't get to you. We finish it here. No, thank you. I really appreciate the little plug for us, Laura. Look, we have certainly tried our very best to bridge that gap exactly, because that's kind of how we felt as well. And it's not about dissing everybody, but it's just our experience from it that we felt that there was something missing, and we wanted to give just a little bit extra in our courses. So obviously, you guys haven't had a chance to really properly see, what we put together yet. But the website is now live, so please feel free to go through and click through and check. And if there's anything that you don't like in there, you know where to find us. We will make sure that we correct it. We want this to be the best thing that's out there, so that is certainly the aim. And I think one thing I might say here is that Peter and I had the goal of launching this by Christmas. Now, I'm sure you can figure out that the dates have slipped a little bit, but there's a good reason for this, because we improved on the quality and the quantity of the materials. So while we are massively delayed on where we actually want it to be, but I think we set ourselves a hugely ambitious target of this, Christmas. This was always going to be a more realistic, given that that's not our number one focus. We have businesses and everything else to worry about as well. So we put a huge amount of effort into it. So I really do hope that it's going to resonate with people, and it will bridge that gap that you just mentioned, Laura. So fingers crossed. We look forward to the feedback.
Be brutally honest.
Yeah. What's that?
You know that it'll be brutally honest.
Oh yeah, that's fine. That's
That's
the only way to improve. Right. So without further ado, we got Paul Salmon. He's been waiting very patiently. Paul, you're on mute, so you have to unmute yourself if you want to be heard.
There we go. Is that better?
Yeah, it is better. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Like I said, I don't think there's much more to say. I think the queen of social media pretty much summed it up perfectly. So, yeah, that's pretty much done. But yeah, I mean, just as sort of an intro on me, I've got a kind of a blended background as from a lot of the other sort of participants tonight as well. So I've last 10 years I've been working sort of closely in the construction sort of business from a domestic sort of viewpoint, predominantly in the plumbing and heating sort of world as well. So that kind of gave me an intro into sort of property and development side of things. What was missing and up until 2-3 years ago was actually the investment side. So like most people, when they think about buying a rental property, think that you've got to save up this 20% deposit, which in this day and age is never the easiest type of thing to do. And then you start investing in property. And it was, like I said, through another sort of company that I started on my property education journey. And that's led me pretty much to where I am now, which is director of Vigh property up in Manchester. And we went down a sourcing route in the end. So we've been sourcing investment properties for overseas investors for the last couple of years now, and that is starting to ramp up and develop into its own business of its own over the last couple of years. So yeah, spend a lot of time in this office. First meeting was 6:15 this morning, and obviously I'm still here at the moment. So yeah, it's going well. But that's the difference really with having a couple of businesses now. So it's all a bit of a juggling act.
Yeah, I think we've had a conversation with you a couple of months ago. I can't remember now exactly when, Paul, but you went down on this route of getting yourself educated in terms of property. But I think your story is actually slightly different from everyone else on the screen, because you have gone into doing property stuff, but that actually has changed your mindset completely. And now you've gone back and have started ramping up your existing plumbing business to a level where it's never been before.
Yeah.
Kind of because you've kind of been through the whole property education, and you met a lot of people who have almost triggered that thing in your head to do that. So I think that, could you just tell a little bit about that to people? Because I mean, I'm probably making a hash of it in terms of what exactly is going on in your life, but I was pretty amazed by when you explained that to us just a couple of months ago.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think it's something that is, I'll echo what some other people have said tonight, is missing in the sort of the property education thing, is that you've got to realise that what you're getting into sometimes is actually another business. It's not just sort of a sideline, or just going to be something that you can just do as and when. You can do, I suppose, if you have 1 or 2 rentals, but predominantly it will lead into something that you're not expecting. So having that business mindset and head on your shoulders is going to help. I think that's something that's benefited me from having that last 10 to 11 years of business experience anyway. But you're right, going into the property sort of thing and looking at how I can do that as a business has led me to then come back full circle and improve the current one that I was in. Most people would look to getting into property to then be able to chuck the job, as it were. That is the mindset that I was in to start with, and now, I've just thought, well, what's the point in chucking it? This is a business that works. I've proved that in the last 12 months, but that it's pretty much pandemic proof, because it's just some loose figures. We used to turn over about 20,000 a month, 15, 20,000 a month. That was a regular sort of thing. That's been for the last 8 years. We just took just short of 80,000 this month. So we've had a fourfold growth in sales. Used to just be me 8 years ago, but now I've got admin staff, got surveyors, I've got 3 engineers as of this week as well. So like I said, we've really ramped up the staffing on that as well, just to help me be able to run 2 businesses. And yeah, we're looking, hopefully, in the next 12 months, looking at the projections. That's something I never had. I used to run it up here. Spreadsheet, brilliant. They actually work. But yeah, looking at the projections for the next 12 months, we should hit that magic million, in turnover, not profit for me, that'd be fantastic. But, we're talking sales figures here. And yeah, we should hit that within the next 12 months in that business. Using the experience from that business has allowed us to then scale the property as well. And we now have staff in that one. We've got 2 people that go out viewing and doing that sort of side of the business. We've got Donna, who's fantastic, she works in the office predominantly doing the case progression, and then you got me and Ben doing the obviously the more sort of strategic bits at the top. But yeah, it definitely helps when you come to sort of like get these, actually the business mindset, rather than just looking at it as something that you're going to do on the side. Because it helps it grow quicker as well, I think, and it makes it more of an enjoyable experience as well, I think.
For sure. And just think that it all started with a rent to SA, huh? Because I think that was one of the first years, wasn't it?
That's it. Well, that's the thing as well. You think, well, rent to rents, they're sort of punted as the sort of entry level strategy, but for some, I think it's one of the hardest to sort of like get your head in. You've started a property management company. You're not just renting, taking one place and renting on to someone else. It's you are developing into that type of business, and it needs to be treated with that sort of seriousness as well. Or you end up with very upset tenants or guests, and very upset landlords as well. So it's it is all about business and the contacts and things like that, and taking it seriously.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Peter, any questions to pull from you or anybody else?
Not at this point.
Not at this point. Yeah, you coming soon, Paul.
Later coming, more coming.
Right, guys, I've got one more winner to have announced. So I'm going to do that now, if that's okay. So drum roll, please. So I said I'm going to have 3 winners. So we already announced 2. So I've got one last one. So here we are. Ready, steady, go. Sam Beasley.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Sam. Congratulations. You are our 3rd winner this evening of our lifetime free courses on our website. Well done. Congratulations. Right. So, guys, I think that kind of brings us very close to the end of our little event this evening. But I've got one more thing to do. And Peter, I'll let you talk while I do that. I actually got one of these right next to me. So I thought, you can't actually launch a website without a bit of champagne. So last time we went skiing to France, we picked up some champagne. This is the last bottle, so I saved it for this very special occasion, even though I didn't know we were going to do this a year ago, but never mind. So I'm going to open this. In the meantime, you can talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, I try my best. This is such a shame, because we should have told you all you guys we might gonna open a bottle of champagne. However, honestly, I didn't know myself. It's literally in the last minute. I just popped up to the shop and I just picked up something. We should have told you guys. So sorry, because we should celebrate together. Actually, well done.
I've done it, and I didn't ruin anything in the room, which is all good.
So I got something here.
Oh, that's why we're crazy. It's only Wednesday night. It's a school night. So, guys, I just really want to thank you again for joining us. It's been amazing to have you all. Yeah, you all got your little glasses of water. So I'm going with champagne. So yeah, that's it, Darren. Fill it up. Yeah, fill it right up. It's been amazing to have you. Amazing to be able to invite you guys. I'm really happy that you accepted, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. I know we've talked a lot, but hopefully everyone who's watched us got something out of the event. I certainly have. We've been doing this for a little over 6-7 months, Peter. But every time we have guests, we really enjoy it. There's always something new we learn. It's something new we find out about the people we invite. So it's been a pleasure to have you all this evening. And thank you all again. So cheers to our website.
Cheers and good luck, guys. All the best.
Cheers and congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Congratulations.
So I'm going to have a look at the comments now. If there's any further questions to anyone. Some people are not really. So Sam is very happy because obviously he says he's never won anything. So Sam, we are absolutely thrilled to be the first people to be able to give you that joy, which is great. Congratulations, Sam. Lots of congratulations for you, Sam. I know we had some questions for you, Rob, and I'm going to go and try and get back to that in a second. Lots of congratulations for Sam. Mandy says that I'm just mean by opening a bottle of champagne. Apologies, Mandy, but I had to do it. Congratulations. Everyone says cheers. Yay. Excellent. Wow, someone else has opened bottles of champagne. Clearly not just us. Fantastic. Just try and display as many comments as possible. Some more congrats for Sam. Peter. All right. So I'm going to try and scroll back at all the comments. And I think there was couple of questions for you, Rob. So here we go. Rob, you're up. Could I get a bridging for a property that is currently BMV due to very short leads?
Oh, good question. Yes, the answer is yes, you could do that. But you just need to make sure you have an exit for that bridging loan. So, for instance, if you buy a property with a short lease and you don't get the paperwork correct, you might end up having to own that property for 2 years before you can extend the lease. You do not want to buy that on a bridging loan because you're going to run out of time and it's going to get extremely expensive for you. So long as you've got a plan to extend the lease and you can do that with a solicitor prior to completion, get the seller to sign a document, the correct type of document as a notice of assignment to assign that right to you to extend that lease. And then that will increase the value of the property and potentially you're going to add some more value through refurb. Yes, that's absolutely fine.
Great. Well, Paula, hopefully that answers your question. Someone else commented on that as well when you were talking about all the other cool stuff in terms of your finance options, Rob. So someone said, some very interesting finance strategies. So I learned a lot. So great. We've got some more comments at the bottom. Nadia says, congrats to the winners and really pleased for us. Well done. Great start. Yeah, fantastic. And okay, so Paula says an absent freeholder, an 81-year or 58-year lease. Rob, does that make any difference?
Sorry, say that one last bit again.
So she's saying it's an absent freeholder and a 58-year lease.
You just made it more complicated. So, that's a really good question. You're going to have to look at the solicitors for that. So it's not a question I can answer. So absentee freeholders basically means they're absent, they're missing, they're dead, they're not available, they're unknown. And so again, it can be an extended process to extend that lease. You might need other leaseholders in the building on side. You might need to kind of seize the right to manage and the right to extend that lease and the freehold and things like that. And it can become a lengthy and complicated process. So I would have a chat with your solicitor first, see where the land lies with that. And as long as you have a clear path to extending that lease and we know that it can be done and get the bridging lender comfortable that that asset is basically safe and that can be done, then it won't be an issue.
So Paula says, okay, thanks. Looks like definitely cash only in that case, which could well be a good option in this case, I guess. Great.
Guys, I'm just going to jump in, just say thank you very much for having me. I'm going to have to go. I've got my dinner waiting, and I'm getting some very evil glares right now. So she's holding a knife as well. So I want to make it through the night. So thank you for having me. Any other questions, just message them to me, Peter, and I'll answer them for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Rob. Really appreciate
See
you
you
coming
later.
on. We don't want to be responsible for your death, so please go now.
Bye.
Cheers. All right, guys.
Istvan, I'm sorry. I'm just going to have to say thank you and love you and leave you as well for that same reason.
Yeah, we're finishing up now anyway. Thank you, Laura, for joining us.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And thanks everybody else for joining us as well. It's gone on for an hour and a half. Hopefully everybody got some value out of it. We're really thankful for your presence, your input. Hopefully giving you a chance to introduce yourself to people you haven't met before. If, like I said before, if anyone wants to reach out to anyone on the screen or who had been on the screen, please do so. Some great knowledge in the group. I'll definitely highly recommend you to do that. So thanks, guys. Thanks, Pete, Paul, Darren, and Richard. Thank you very much for joining us. And I'm sure, no doubt, we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We're going to sign off now. Thank you.